Hello, good afternoon, traders. It's Monday, November 1st, 2021, about half an hour before London breakout, and I'm going to go over a couple of pairs, get the week started. Been working on refining the process, and I'm definitely excited to see Gbpchf and Gbpaud make some moves for the next session. Now, when we look at the economic calendar, we can see that there's not many high impact news today, which is great. It will help with the flow of the markets, but there is a Euro bank holiday today. It's a French bank holiday and an Italian bank holiday. So there is going to be weakness in the Euro. So I'm going to avoid that trade during the London session. But it does not mean that GBP is weak. So I will be looking for the alternative, which would be GBP. When I look at my chart, I'm going to pay attention to GBP CHF. We go out to the monthly time frame. Just delete a few lines. We can see that price is currently bearish on the monthly time frame long term. But at the moment, we do have a bullish break to the upside, and price is testing that bullish break at the moment. That's what we're getting at the monthly. So any moment we could have a resumption of the bear run. Looking at the weekly now, we can see there's potential for a bear move to the downside, and at the moment we are in a bear trend on the weekly. I'm going to mark up some parameters just so we can get a better visual. And you see that there is a couple areas that we're going to pay attention to. We're going to pay attention to above, which is take the cross here. About 500 pips above, we're going to see some potential resistance, and then 280 pips below, there's potential support. So we're going to take it every step of the way, and that's just the current region that we're trading within. And there is another minor area right above here. We're at 1.293. So at the moment, we do see it's going down, but you obviously know if you take a short now, you're betting that price is going to go down there, but also you don't really care about the duration because you can see this is the weekly and it may not get down there in 1 week. So let's look at the daily where we can see further price action. It was ranging for the past few months, and it looks like it's currently making a big move. Now, I like the breaks of ranges, and this is definitely a range that has to be broken. It's either going to go back to the upside, which is about 200, 300 pips, or it's going to break and continue down, which is about 250 pips. From what it looks like it's going to break and continue down, but at the moment, I don't think that it's going to happen right away because we have to see the break of this low for a continuation, which is still about 70 pips away. It's going to be where I put my first minor support. So 70 pips away is the low. Now let's go into the 4 hour. There's not really much else that I want to look at over here. Now, if you ask me if I were to go short from up here, if this was a good move, yes, it was. But if I were to go short from here, if it's a good move, I tell you, it's probably not as great as before. So that's indicative that it might be time for the market to correct itself. So we see swing highs above. So you do know that after every rally down, there's going to be a pump back to the upside, and that's what we're awaiting. So I'm actually anticipating some buys today on Gbpchf during London session, even though the market is bearish. Now, a lot of Instagram and YouTube traders may tell you to stick to the long-term bias when you're taking intraday trades, but what if they're wrong majority of the time? And when you do stick to the long-term bias, you're not taking into account the fact that there's things that happen within the day and the week. So right now, this is an example. It's going down, but there's going to be things that happen before it continues its move. So let's just take one more look at the daily to see where I would like to see price crash below 1.24399. But I do know that there is also an upside potential, and price could rally back up as well. So let's get into the 30-minute time frame where we can see it is currently testing these lows, and I do believe that it could possibly drive down further, but at the moment we're just going to look for a drive to the upside for an entry. I want to go into the 4-hour to mark up my zones a little bit more. There's a trend right here. They got broken, and there's a second attempt to go up right here, and it got broken again. So every attempt up, it gets breached, and of course you see the attempts down actually succeeded. This was the only one that failed. So it's definitely bearish, and we can see that. I could take all day to justify it, but this is the past. I'm looking at the present, and we're looking at this current trend right here. So I'm looking at the upside potential. I'm looking at where I could possibly take this counter move to. And I do see a potential area right here, 62 pips away. And I would take it about 70 pips north from its current area once I get the signal that it's going to go up. On the 4-hour, we do have a nice close above that region. Let me zoom in so you all can see. There's a nice close above 1.253. So that's also indicating that it's going to pull up. But right now, price is testing the lows of that range. I'm going to actually go in a little bit more. And let me delete some of these trend lines. So it's going to test the highs of that range right there. And the lows of the range is currently right here. Oops. Doesn't want to work with me. Okay, this is kind of frustrating. I'll just leave it like that for now. All right, now let's get into the 30-minute so we can see exactly what is happening within this range. So it is breaking to the downside, and you can see this. This is an easy signal, but this is a retail signal because, of course, this is the exhaustion. This is the oversold territory, and you don't want to sell in that area. So since we already know that our trajectory is to go up, we need to see the signal indicating that it's going to go up, and we're going to go into that. So right here is where I would like to buy into, which is about 100 pips away. So I'm going to mark that off right there. So I would like to take my longs up about 100 pips. Now I need to find a signal to get into this long. At the moment, I do see a high above, and I'd say placing a buy stop right above 1.25, 1.252. And then the stop loss would just go a few pips below this low at 1.2517. And then the profit target would be the high of this trend, 1.263. And looking at the 4-hour, it lines up perfectly with everything that I just discussed. So this is the trade of the day right here. It's going to get me about a 40 pip risk for a 74 pip run. And I do believe this is going to be the move of the day. It might take more than one day to reach there, but I do definitely foresee it going at least 40 pips higher, closing out to stop out these retail sellers by the end of the day. And if you are a little bit more advanced and you would like to scalp into the open position, then that is a possibility as well. Just wait for this current oversell territory to reach back to some highs before you get into the trade. But I'm not scalping to entry right now. I'm just going to have a simple entry, exit, and target. So that's it for Gbpchf. Let me see how I'm doing on time. 12 minutes. I'm going to split this video up into two. I'm going to go over GBP AUD next.